Hallowed be thy name. Father, as your children come before you once more, we give you thanks and praise. Wake up this morning. Father, we pray that there at this time will touch each and every one of us that align at this time. We pray for every corner in our home, around our home, wherever we are this time. We pray for children and grandchildren. We also pray for the chairman. We also pray also for Mr. George Torres that you continue to give him health and strength so he can do his work. Father, we are about to get into a meeting. We pray that the Lord, this meeting will be a success to each and every one of us and also for the community. In Jesus' name, I pray thanksgiving. Amen and amen.
Amen. Is there anyone here from the Wakefield Leasing Maintenance Corp? Wakefield Leasing? How about the Design Trust for Public Spaces?
Hi, I'm Alana. I'm from Design Trust.
Hi, Alana. I guess so. We could go ahead with your presentation.
Nope, that would be great.
Yeah, by the way, Dan, I'm on board.
Who is that?
That's Carl.
Oh, okay, Carl. How you doing, Carl?
Good. Okay. Sorry to interrupt the young lady.
Okay.
Okay. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Oh, I'm on a browser, so I cannot do that. Pardon while I download the WebEx app.
Okay, no problem. Alana, is the Design Trust a government agency or is it like a nonprofit or?
We're a nonprofit.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, they're getting. There you go. You're on, Mike. Tell them you're from Wakefield.
Hi, I'm from Wakefield Taxi, Wakefield Leasing and Maintenance.
All right, Wakefield. So Alana, I'm gonna let Wakefield go ahead.
If they want to go first,
Okay.
that's great.
Wakefield Leasing?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Yeah, we don't have a screen working.
Okay, great. Could you tell us about your business, please?
Sorry, say again?
Could you tell us about your business and
Okay, we're a taxi company in Northeast Bronx,
okay.
4632 White Plains Road. We've been in business for over 50 years. We do medical transportation service,
Okay.
and we've been operating out of this location for quite a while.
Okay. Great. Have you I guess there are no complaints about your company.
So you know, I mean, I've been up to other community board meetings in the past many years. Every 3 years or so, we have to renew our base license.
Yeah, I actually remember you.
Yeah, John, I don't have anything against him.
Okay, great. Thanks, Urs. So you just will you take patients to their visits, the doctor's visits, or?
Yeah, to and from medical locations. Some dialysis patients, mostly in the Bronx.
Okay.
From our area up here down to 149th Street, DeVita. And this other location at 4626 White Plains Road.
Okay. Right.
What's the name of that place? Go what? Okay. At Balm of Gilead Medical Office.
All right, great. Board members, I need or transportation committee members, I need a motion to write a letter of support for this company.
John, I'll make that motion because they're a good organization and they do a lot of good for the community. So I move that we approve them.
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for the great work, Wakefield Eason. Elena, are you
All right,
ready?
thank you very much.
While we're waiting, I also received an email. Carmen Ortiz.
Yes, yes.
Hi. I read your email about the increase in traffic and all that stuff by Corner Street and the
Uh-huh.
potholes. The potholes
Yes, yes. And the construction company across the street
across the street from where you.
from where I am. You know, we have 10 houses in this block, and it's getting very, with the fumes and everything like that. And now that with what we have with the fires and in other countries and other states, we're really having a great
They
day.
second the motion that they're gonna give us credit for the card for the issue. I don't know.
All right.
But
So
when I send you the email, I explain everything that
traffic in front of our
yeah.
home.
Guys, can you unmute yourself or Madam Ortiz can speak, please?
Yeah, I've been muting people. It's like playing a video game. Okay, great. So, Urs, are you on?
Yes, Carmen is on.
Carmen's on. Okay, I think Ursula probably left, but what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get with Ursula and see if DOT can do anything.
I'm here.
Is there anything that we could do about the traffic and the noise around Corner Street? Because they should. I mean, they're in a residential area, and
No, I don't think it's zone residential, and it's about to get worse because I think they're planning on building a recycling place there.
oh,
I spoke
Oh
to
my
her
God.
before. We put in complaints. I'll speak with George. I'm not in tomorrow, but Monday I'll discuss it with George and get back to her.
how about they're supposed to do a renovation on that bridge too, right?
Yep.
So
I recently asked them for an update. They didn't have one, but I'll ask again.
okay, great.
So that means that we will have more traffic if this recycling is gonna come.
Yes.
Unfortunately, yeah, Ms. Mortigo. The problem there is that it's zone manufacturing, and that's like one of the last manufacturing areas we have in the Bronx. And it so happens that Connor Street, coming off Boston Road, it's like ridiculously, infested with. I pass by Miss Ortiz's house every day, and I take a peek into her house. It's crazy. The potholes, the trucks, the noise. You know what I mean?
Asphalt plant, the asphalt plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we could definitely send a letter of support to DOT so they could do a study, which they probably have done dozens, but definitely they could do a study if they could try to do
Okay.
something. I don't know what they can do. I mean, because they cannot reroute the trucks, and that's like the only truck route. But at least fix the streets and try to minimize
The
the
not yes.
noise.
All right, great.
And minimize the construction workers across the street from doing they do it 27, 24/7. And it's ridiculous. The other fellow that was there, he was more considerate, and he would not be banging noise after 10 o'clock at night. This guy that is there now, it's
Carmen,
12 o'clock in the
Carmen,
night.
sorry, Carmen, you said
Uh-huh.
that they're doing work. They actually doing physical work there across the street.
Yeah,
All right.
inside the jar.
Yeah,
And I think they're breaking rocks or something, because every time they break something, my house shakes and everybody else's house shakes.
all right.
They could be in violation of the permit.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna go speak to them. All right, Carmen.
All right,
Okay.
thanks a lot. All right, Elena.
Okay, I'm back and I have the presentation. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to introduce myself quickly. Luke had reached out to our organization to talk about the space under the train at Gun Hill Road and White Plains Road, to think about how we might be able to activate that space. And so I'm going to give a little quick presentation about Design Trust and sort of some of the work we've done around those kind of projects. And then I really want to hear from you all what you're thinking, because I think that'll help sort of guide what kind of next steps you can take. So I'll just share my screen.
Thanks again for being here, Elena.
Yeah, Alana, by the way. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble opening this.
Got no clothes on. You get that big belly.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
John, do you mind if I share my screen showing where we're talking about?
That's fine, Luke. You could go ahead.
Okay, just a second. Let me pull this up. Okay, can everybody see this screen? It's a Google map.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so right under the train, the elevator tracks, there is some pedestrian space that doesn't have much use right now. The DOT recently put in, it's right here. See how it's protected by bollards. The Department of Transportation recently put in street lights signals right here. They put in ADA accessible ramps so that pedestrians can access the space. They've also put in a crosswalk. But it's a really unique space that begs the question, could we do something with this? And I was trying to do some research about if there's any kind of precedent that the city has for how to use these types of spaces, and there is. We have places like, and Alana, if you're ready at any time, feel free to cut me
Okay.
off.
Yeah, I can jump in.
Okay, yeah,
Talk a
please.
little bit about.
Thanks so much.
No problem. Okay. So, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay. So, just to give you a little background about me and the Design Trust, my name is Alana Ehrenberg. I'm the Senior Policy Manager for Design Trust. Design Trust is a nonprofit.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
It looks like there's another window on top of the screen. Can
Oh,
everybody
you
else?
can see that one too,
Yeah.
the presenter thing.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? I don't need I don't need the notes. I know what I'm doing. There we go. Is that better?
Yep.
So, Design Trust Public Space, we were founded in 1995 as a nonprofit, and we unlock the potential for public spaces. And we have a project-based model. So I'll go to the next screen. And how we work is we usually, every couple of years, we put out a call for projects because we really want to hear from everyday people about what they're interested in exploring. And so we usually have some sort of topic or theme for our projects. And then we work with experts in the field, depending on what the project is, and we build a team. We work with different communities, community organizations, city agencies. We do a lot of research, and then we usually test something out. And this is where I think the Under the Elevated pilots were something that Luke had seen, and I think it's, we did a lot of policy and advocacy around that. And so L-Space, I think Luke was starting to get there, but it's basically the area underneath any kind of elevated transportation infrastructure. So that can be bridges, subways, highways. And there's a lot of it in New York City. There's over 700 miles, I think. Yes. And so this project really was a partnership with Department of Transportation to look at these spaces, because a lot of them had been used for other uses for a long time, parking being a big one, and then now some of them, as you've seen, are starting to be used for more pedestrianized uses. So we've been thinking about how do you reclaim these L space sites for use by communities. And a lot of it comes down to they need better lighting, maintenance, green infrastructure, planting, different funding. That's like really a big issue that people run into. And then there needs to be some sort of like long-term plan working with the community to take care of these spaces. And so Under the Elevated and L Space was a project that Design Trust started way before my time. This was how I got introduced to the organization. It began in 2013, and so it's not an ongoing project for us anymore, but we worked really closely with DOT to kind of think about all of these different types of spaces, and we did a multi-phase initiative where we tested some of these ideas in different spaces, and I'll show you some of the before and afters from that. But really, what we found is that there are no design guidelines anywhere in the country for this kind of work. So we hosted a forum in 2018 where we brought different people from other cities together, and that sort of informed a lot of the toolkit that we have available for free on our website, on just how the different uses of these spaces that people have decided to use. And so this was one we did in Sunset Park under the Gowanus Expressway. This was a partnership with Industry City, which is nearby. So they sort of funded and helped maintain some of this. But it was a way to make this more pedestrian friendly. So people crossing under the expressway had better lighting, had some, and you can see in the previous slide, there was the night version of this, so it really is lit up very well. We also had some designers and landscape architects design these like planters, so they were capturing the rainwater that ran off of the Gowanus Expressway and capturing it in a way that wasn't just like flooding different, as you can see in the first photo over here. There's some flooding happening in different places where the drainage wasn't really set up right. Well, we actually learned a lot from this first pilot where like the plants didn't do well. That was something that, they needed a little bit different light and water resources. And I think when we changed out the plantings, then it was a more successful and longer lasting situation. But it definitely like brightened and beautified the area a little bit. This was one in Long Island City at Dutch Kill Street. It was overgrown, not taken care of sidewalk space next to these two elevated highways. So we were really looking at how can you kind of make this, again, pedestrian friendly, have some plantings, have some seating, lighting was really important. This was a partnership with Rock Rose, which is a developer in the area that I think owned the actual property nearby. So again, it's helpful if you have either like funding coming from someone who is nearby to maintain some of this infrastructure too. And then you can see we tried a different method with capturing the stormwater runoff and having some plantings there, which worked out a lot better actually. And this was a pilot we did in Rockaway with the Rockaway Rise. It's a nonprofit youth organization that focuses on climate resiliency, and they were the best stewards of this space. So they really went all in and they helped us plant and designed this and take care of it. And this was actually a two-part project with them where now they actually operate their own space under the train tracks there. It's called the Wellness Way, and they do a lot of programming, and they have fresh food markets and things like that in the area for the neighborhood. So this was step one where we were just sort of like experimenting with how to make something more engaging. And then now they've kind of taken over that area and really redefined how it's being used by the community. And then My colleague from DOT was not able to join, unfortunately, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the program that sort of came out of all of this work we did with them. And I definitely would recommend, if there's any questions you have about getting access to some of these different types of infrastructure, you can do that by reaching out to them, and I'm happy to make a connection. But they have a program at DOT now because of all this work we did over the years, and they've sort of been experimenting with having different things like shipping containers being modified and used. This is one from that they did at the Brooklyn Bridge Park, or Brooklyn Bridge under the actual bridge. Having it be a use for concessions or community use. There's the elf fence was similar to what I had in the previous slide from Long Island City, and that was like basically a lit up fence that helps with nighttime navigation for some of these spaces. And then the City L is this seating and lighting model, which actually stemmed from a pop-up we did at Jerome Ave and Burnside Ave, 2018, where it was a little seating light and it played music, so it was the Boogie Down Bronx. And that sort of has transitioned into DOT piloting something a little more permanent. And that's something that they're working towards now. So there are sort of these phases where you can do quick interventions and then have something maybe there for a couple months and test it out, and then that would lead to designing something more permanent. And then I just wanted to give a couple examples of other places around the city that do amazing work, not that we have anything to do with them, but and are also under elevated trains specifically, because I know noise is a big concern for some of these spaces. So in Sunnyside, Bliss Plaza, it actually became an official plaza run by DOT. It's managed by Sunnyside Shines, which is the business improvement district in that area. But they do events all the time in this space under the train tracks. They had Taste of Sunnyside. They do holiday markets and have different dance performances happening throughout the summer, which is really great. And then 125th Street, Uptown Grand Central. I know, Luke, you had mentioned the food box program that they have there as well. They have a farmers market that happens there every weekend. And this was a photo from one of the other projects we did with them called Turnout NYC, where we were really trying to activate spaces with arts and culture and having a kit of parts be able to be moved around. But this was a silent disco because they found live performances are really difficult with the noise from the train. So having a silent disco where you can have your headphones on and just be in your own space really helped get people out there and dancing, which was really fun. And so, yeah, I guess I just wanted to hear from you all more what could be helpful here, and if you had any thoughts or things that you'd be interested in exploring, because I think it's exciting. It's a big space and there's a lot of potential.
Can I ask you one question? What's
Absolutely.
this run? Does this run from 213th Street to 217th?
This is 212. Is that right, Luke?
Yeah, I think it's 212th South. So it's the area that's protected with bollards. So there's no parking there. You know
Yeah,
what?
so between what two streets? That's what I want to know.
I think it's White Plains Road and 212th. I think that's the.
Yeah, and just that one corner?
There are these two like large kind of spaces. They're concrete spaces underneath the train. Like if you exit the station and you turn left, and you walk up like underneath, it's kind of hard to just describe. If anybody else can describe it better, let me know.
It's 212 between 212 and I believe 250 or 16th Street call on White Plains Road.
212 to 216?
Roughly, right.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
I know.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Judy. I designed the intermodal station just south of there. All right, the Gun Hill station, the way the buses run around there and everything, I was part designer for that.
That's awesome.
To create an intermodal facility for that area. my issue is, I'm very much in favor of public spaces. You got to understand it. But what happens when the railroad shuts down between 241st Street and Gun Hill for track and maintenance work? The buses that operate there lay over in that vicinity. So I don't know how great that would be to put something like that there, because if they can't get where they're going, they're going to lay over in the street and cause major congestion. As you know, on the north end of the station, if you come out that side, you got 2 loops by the station, and that's to pick up passengers.
And Luke, you mentioned that there was going to be.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking, Luke, you mentioned that there was a redesign of where the buses are going in the future, right?
So they're working on a bus lanes on Gun Hill Road, but this is
Yeah, that has nothing to do. That
right.
has nothing to do with this.
Got
So
it.
this is actually within those loops. You know those concrete pads within those 2 concentric loops? Those
Yeah, I
are
installed them.
yeah, that's this area that we're talking about today.
That's the area you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, well, that would be a no-go, because for subway shuttles, they use that to drop off passengers and pick up passengers.
Well, we wouldn't be using the street. We would be using the bollard protected sidewalk areas. It's not really a sidewalk, it's just a large plaza.
The plaza inside of the bollards is what we're talking about.
Okay. Look, like I said, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
And
I think,
but I'm concerned that having pedestrians, intermingle with buses, and that's my issue.
So
because we use those turnarounds now for the 41 SBS and some of the 39s who short turn at Gun Hill Road. They use that to turn around. So I just don't want the conflict between the people who would utilize this area and the buses. So there's got to be some safety factors built in, so the two do not commingle.
Can I ask a question? What exactly are you planning to put there? I maybe I missed that.
Oh, sorry. So just to clarify, we don't have any plans. This is Luke just had reached out because he was interested in having a conversation about potentially activating that space and speaking with you all. So, but we're not. This is more of me facilitating a brainstorming thing, not really a plan. I wanted to hear what you were all interested in, so we could think about if there's a way to make something happen.
so we could look at it as a blank
Totally.
and then we could just design. I mean, I could see something in there like a little farmer's market or something in there. If you had certain activities you could have in there with different groups.
You know, John, all those vendors that are there in front of the train station entrance,
It would be perfect, right, for them, right?
move them over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the some of the DOT's already available programs that they have, like that shipping container that can be repurposed, is interesting for if you were looking to do something that was like concessions.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at a La Maqueta in Harlem, and that's what it is. That's what it is. I'm envisioning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like a good idea. I mean, I'm not against it. So
yeah, it's unused space, Carl.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm not against it, because anything that's pedestrian and community friendly, I'm for. But I was worried about any conflicts.
Yeah.
And that has to be taken into consideration whenever they put
Definitely. And one thing
Um,
about these spaces that's difficult sometimes is that this might be MTA controlled. And
It
then
is.
it's
Actually,
very,
it is.
yeah, so it'll be a little bit different to work with MTA versus DOT for some of these, but DOT, they work together closely on these spaces. It's just, with different jurisdictions, it has its own.
And I will tell you, parks may have their fingers in this too somehow,
Mm-hmm.
because when we had to negotiate with parks to do what we did on the intermodal facility.
Mm.
So they may have a piece of the action there.
I'll take you there. You can imagine around the holidays this being used, like some vendors are having like a Christmas spectacular shopping area or whatever,
Yeah, is there, can I ask if there's like a bid or some other merchant organization in the area over here?
No.
No, okay. I know there's one on the other.
Isn't Mashalou Preservation Corporation starting to activate along White Plains Road?
Yeah, but they're not going down that far, Luke.
Oh, okay.
All right, great.
Ilana,
Oh, I think
Mr.
it's a great
Isaac,
idea.
Someone said something?
Mr. Isaac is Miss Granby.
Hi, Miss Granby.
Good evening. May I speak for a quick moment?
Yes, you can. Oh, I didn't even see your hand. I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You may.
Good evening, everyone. I like the idea of repurposing space, but I think right now this may be a project that may be too premature, because with the Gun Hill Road project in the workings, I think you need to see what kind of issues or problems or solutions that may arise from the Department of Transportation before you try to venture into a project like this, because for all we know, they may take over that space themselves. So I think you need to wait to see if once their plans are set in stone before start reaching out and going forward with this type of a project, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to connect with DOT.
Can I ask you who you work with at DOT?
Yeah, with this specific type of project is with the design team at DOT, so it's Neil Gagliardi, but I know that this would probably be with the Bronx DOT office, so I would want to connect with them if there's, yeah.
I mean, with the bollards and stuff being there, the only time I could see them using that space for is like staging,
Mm.
whatever. But we could contact them and find out.
But I agree, it would be hard to plan something unless
Look,
you knew for sure.
we can't limit ourselves. How about this being like a space that actually like transforms, like seasonal, and it could be different things at different times. I'm just trying to think outside of the box.
Yeah, that's really cool. And kind of like what you were saying with kind of having a holiday market kind of thing.
Yeah.
That might be a really great kind of commercial activity that attracts people coming off the train. And what's great about this area is that does have these new crosswalks and pedestrian lights to access this area. So it's safe to, as long as you're following the stoplights and everything. But that's great. And Ilana, like, how would we do that if we wanted to see something, use this for, vending, uh, understanding that we have to first figure out whose jurisdiction, DOT or MTA, but like, is there a process that we would start that would be different for if we wanted to do it for vending or if we wanted to do it for another kind of thing?
Yes, I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen for a second so I can just see the other parts of this screen, and I'll share some links in the chat if that's okay. I think DOT obviously would be the first people I would reach out to just to get a good understanding, as Ms. Granby recommended, of the Gun Hill Road project, and then they can work with the team who does the L space work too. So that I think getting everyone together in one meeting might be helpful. And DOT, honestly, they manage both if you wanted to do concessions in that space and any other type of programming. So they would be able to, it's really just one-stop shop with them.
And yeah, the idea here is not to, solidify any kind of thing right now. I think I was thinking, if we could have a conversation about just in general, what kinds of things would people like to have in this area? Um, like like we were talking about having a farmer's market or fresh food opportunities, uh, commercial activity that's kind of oriented to the transit stuff. But there could be even other things like uh, different types of parkland or stuff like that. Curious if people have ideas.
I mean, it'll be hard to put like greenery underneath there. So like urban park would probably be out of the question. But I could see like something like a pop-up skate park, if something with hardscape,
Like a what?
like a pop-up skate park, or
That would be awesome.
yeah, or we could do something where we have a landscape architect do an installation to do different installations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was sort of a question I was wondering is, what is the space like at night? Does it need better lighting? How is it being used at the moment? I guess not really. It's mainly people waiting for the bus and getting on the train. So
Yeah. Well, someone put in the chat if we could ask the community what they like to see. So
yeah,
that's possible. We could have a survey.
I think that would be great.
You know. All right. Ted, you have a comment, Ted?
Hey John, thank you. I was actually not privy to hear the early part of the conversation, but what exact space are we talking about here?
Luke, you could put it back up. Luke is gonna put up. It's like 212 and White Plains Road.
Yeah.
Where there it's like a bollard enclosed area where they're
Okay.
using.
I just wonder how far up are we looking at? Because I know the bus turns by 212 and then there's another turn.
So
You gotta go behind the
it's
bus.
it's this area.
It's
And
right there.
Oh,
the DOT recently made pedestrian access improvements right here. So you
okay.
can walk right through here. You have to follow the pedestrian signal and you can access this large area. And because all of these bollards are here, there aren't any like city vehicles parking in it. It's pretty open. But one challenge is that like because this area it doesn't really get anywhere except for there's like a lot over here. Um, there's not a lot of circulation, so people don't have really a reason to walk over here. So I guess the idea is, and we just see somebody in the chat says, "Love the idea to make a space for kids." Is can we make this kind of a destination, for something that is a community purpose or something that people want to see, so that people do use this space for anything. But I haven't really thought about it at night. Alana, that's a really great point. I wonder if anybody on the call knows if this area is like light or dark or if lighting is a issue.
I know there used to be a food vendor outside a little bit further down near to the opening, near to the entrance for the transit. I'm not sure if that person is still there,
It's
like right behind where the bus is.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
it's still it's still Lysum over there.
Okay, wouldn't that be a perfect location to have to move those vendors instead of them being on the sidewalk right there?
I just said that.
Yeah, we
Oh,
that we
okay.
said that was one of the suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, as I said, I didn't hear that other
Yeah.
part. Okay, thank you.
There was somebody who mentioned in the chat about having a space for kids to play. I'm wondering, do you want to elaborate on that or talk about what you're thinking or envisioning or hoping?
Oh, oh, hi. This is Karen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, something is wrong with your mic or something.
Oh, okay. I had a problem. That's why I signed in and then signed out. But can you hear me well enough for me to just? I don't have a lot to
Yeah.
say.
We could hear you well enough, Karen.
Yeah, I know. I'm a retired teacher, and I just know that, kids would love an open space, something that is neutral, free. Obviously, it's not. It can't be for little kids. It would have to be mostly for kids who could supervise themselves, hopefully, but just to have a place like somebody mentions the skateboard park, and I don't know what the insurance responsibilities would be. I have no idea how it works, but I just know that kids have very limited access to open space to go after school.
See, the problem
That's it.
I'm seeing, because I'm actually a designer too, and all that stuff, is that with kids, you gotta put a fence and all that stuff. Because I could imagine a little toddler or someone, or someone getting away and running into the street. So that's just my view on the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely not talking about toddlers, not talking about a park where you need parents to monitor. I'm talking about, and again, a very complicated issue, adolescents, middle school kids, teenagers. They're volatile. I don't know, but I'm just saying, definitely not kids that need a parent, but kids that have a space to go to. I don't know if you can involve the NYPD, or PALS, the Police Athletic League, somebody to maybe, do a drive-by, just check on them or something. But definitely I'm thinking older kids, just because of the location, etc.
Yeah,
What about, oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna, that's a good starting point, I think, when you're thinking about what sort of use you want. It would be really to think about what organizations are around in the area too that can help support some of that. Because I think it's almost never successful when it isn't supported by some sort of institutional organization in the neighborhood.
What about like ping pong tables? I was in Bryant Park a few weeks ago, and there were some ping pong tables there, and it brought out a huge league of ping pong players that I didn't know existed, but it's like a really vibrant community. And thinking of things, skate park, like what other things can young people who are not toddlers, chess, that's a cool idea. Um, if we were interested in hypothetically putting a ping pong table or some chess tables, who would we go to? Would that be the same people at DOT?
Look, look. My only comment with like chess tables and stuff like that is that when it gets cold, then the place become desolate and destructive, and then other activities are going to go on there. So we need a space that's always going to be active. You understand where I'm getting at? If you keep
Yeah.
the place active, then the negative. Once a lot of people in there doing positive things, then the negative environment will not be present.
So we need like an active community partner that can kind of
So
moderate.
that's why we need like that transformative. Remember, we were going with that like that space that could change. Okay, if it's not this today, but then we could just flip it, and then tomorrow it could be this. And then back and forth.
Maybe, Alana, you had mentioned pilot programs where it's only for a couple months or something like that. Maybe there's like something, and obviously we won't decide on this now. This is kind of a long-term thing, but maybe there's something that we could all kind of talk about or come back to.
We're gonna have we're
And
gonna probably have to meet and definitely talk about this. I think Beatrice has her hand up to
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
acknowledge the chair.
La Marqueta Alana, are you familiar with the vendors that are in there?
Yeah.
Not that one specifically.
So in there, there's like I was trying to Google the name, but it's a bakery, and the concept was that women that were living in shelters within that
Yes,
neighborhood
that's right. That's right.
were the makers, the bakers. So they were getting something out of it, and it's like they got employment out of it. A concept like that, and it doesn't have to be a bakery, but something like that,
Yeah.
I think would be interesting for us to look into.
And that's run by the Economic Development Corporation. It's EDC. So
Okay.
I definitely recommend if that's something you're interested in. I'm sure they're always looking for partners and things like that.
That would be really cool.
So what would we do? We'd have to reach out to them.
Yes. I would reach out to them and just to have a conversation and see what would be possible. Because
Okay.
I'm not sure. I know La Marqueta was a very long project for them, but you know, if there's some way because they have programs like that, so it'd be great to connect, especially with local women.
Right. Thank you.
All right.
So John, that's something we should look into.
Yeah. Probably we'll have another meeting, just a public forum and just the public space.
Right.
You know.
I think Karen wrote in the chat asphalt green. I wonder what that is.
That's an organization, I believe a nonprofit, but you know, don't quote me, used to come to our school and do activities with the kids during recess time, during gym time. I don't know a lot about them. I could do a little bit of research and see what they do, but I think that, you know, this sounds like something that might be up their alley. And I don't know, I don't even know whether or not our school paid, but there were just the you know, these people who came in and just worked with the kids. It was physical, so it would be, as I said, you know, an outdoor activity. I don't know if they do anything, you know, in winter months, but the space could be used for lots of different things.
Yep.
Yeah, there's it's I haven't seen it in many spaces, but down under the FDR, there's exercise equipment along like it's near the waterfront, but not really on the waterfront. But that was something too that the community asked for, some sort of adult exercise equipment for that space.
So if you drive down the FDR, you pass the building to the right, labeled asphalt green.
Yeah, they're on the Upper East Side. They have a very big
Yeah.
space. I didn't know that they traveled around to schools, but that would be a good partner to somebody like that would be a
Yeah.
good partner, I think.
Yeah, that sounds very positive.
Okay. Tolene?
That's at 92nd Street, by the way.
All right. Tolene, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm just glad that we moved on past skates and balls and stuff that go out in the street. That's my only concern listening to, you know, I'm a former skate mom, so I'm familiar with all of that, and I can't see a skateboard going out in the street, or I think y'all were talking about balls or tennis or ping pong, or it can't be anything that's going to go out in the street. I know I've always had PAL play streets in the summer, so you have to be very conscious of what you do. It's not big enough for a skate park by no means. Okay, so that's just my input. Thank you.
All right. Great. Any more comments? Or concerns? Any more issues or concerns?
Yeah, so I think some next steps would be, as we discussed, trying to figure out who has jurisdiction in the area to see like what would be possible.
That'll be the next phase. Yes, Joey? Joey has a
I
raised
have a
hand.
question. It used to be as far as vendors, used to be you couldn't put them near the subway station or the bus station, and you had to be a vet to get like, I don't know if it's still the same, to get the permit to put the vendors there. Is that still the same?
I have no idea. We would have to explore the issue and find out.
Okay, thank you. I think George said something about it
Yeah.
to me once and stuff like that. Because when he came to pick up something, they were on the corner. He said they shouldn't be there.
So there's a lot of homework to do. We have to find out who has jurisdiction
Thank you, John.
and all that stuff. So
But there are, you're right, there are certain restrictions on where vending can happen, which is why going through DOT and having the right permit will help just make sure everyone's where they should be.
yeah, it's a big unused space. Q, you have a question? Q?
Yes, Mr. Isaac, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
No, I actually just had some other transportation concerns I'd like to discuss with your permission. So I just wanted to let you know that I was here when this presentation was done. Thank you.
Okay. All right, great. All right. So any more questions about the presentation or any more about the ideas? So look, we gotta formulate our next plan of action around
Yes.
what's
Sounds like
next.
sounds like there's a lot of ideas. Ted wrote in the chat that there's a perfect for a go round for parents and children. Shante wrote, I like the idea of bringing a farmer's market. So it sounds like there's definitely some interest in doing something here.
All right, great.
So thank you all for having me. I can share the presentation, Luke. I can send that to you afterwards if there's interest with that. I'm also going to share my email if anyone needs to reach out. But yeah, I'm happy to help make connections to any city agencies or organizations that might be able to help out. But yeah, I think understanding what can happen first would be will be really helpful.
Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Ehrenberg, thanks so much for getting us all started here.
Of course, I'm excited. It seems like everyone's got ideas, and we'll see what can happen. All right. Thanks for having me. I'm gonna hop off, but it was great meeting you all.
Have a
Thank
safe
you.
night.
Bye.
Sorry, Q.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac.
Okay.
So, yeah, just a few things. I'm not sure if anyone saw, but Councilman Kevin Riley issued a statement about, his, I guess, thoughts on what the Department of Transportation is doing in our area. And for me, I'm just going to state that I honestly feel that they've waged war on our area of the Bronx. They're now having zip cars with no standing and no parking zones inside of our blocks. I literally have a friend that, right in front of her house, they just put it there, and she's paying taxes for her home. We have the bus lanes, we have the bike lanes, we have the lack of, respect for the people in the community. A few meetings ago, we discussed follow-up in trying to get the commissioner from the Department of Transportation down. We discussed follow-up in terms of trying to make sure we get our elected officials, on board with actually joining the meeting. So people from the community board, aren't, I guess, feeling that they should be the only ones listening to our concerns. And for me, I think the saddest part is that the area is being gentrified in a way that it's going to look very different in terms of the people that are living in the community 10 to 15 years from now. As a business owner, a homeowner, owning multiple properties, if this had happened when my parents just got here, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So there are a lot of boys and girls and children growing up that are going to have to relocate. So I just want to know what the transportation committee's plan is in terms of continuing the discussion forward, because things still haven't changed. And we need some sort of answer or communication. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac.
Yeah. Q, in terms of the zip cars are usually parked in a lot because they have them in Greenpoint where I work. And if it parked in front of someone's home, that means someone has the car parked there and is using it. Because they don't park them on the street.
Yeah, the Department of Transportation put a no standing zone. I have your email. I could email it to you. And if you're ever free and you want to go by the block, I can walk with you, and it's right there. The Department of they have no regard for us, no respect
That
for
means
us.
someone is renting a yeah.
No, John.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. About 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the city wanted to make it easier for people to grab a car when they needed one without going to a central location to get it. So they have a contract with Zipcar, and Manhattan has tons of these locations, especially in Harlem and East Harlem, where they provide a space for zip cars only. If you're parked there, they're going to give you a summons. So, in other words, if you rent a zip car and you can return it to any location that is available parking, which the gentleman just spoke about, they put one on his block, I believe he said. And so somebody who may have rented a zip car who lives in the community can park his car there and do whatever he has to do. And he doesn't have to take it anyplace else because he's billed from the time he puts the key in the ignition until he shuts the car off. So the Parkchester has these spots for the last 3 years. There's about 15 in Parkchester alone. So yes, they're expanding it to the rest of the Bronx. Queens has them. Brooklyn has them. The only place I know of that doesn't have it is Staten Island. But otherwise, they're all over the city. And I guess they're finally coming to Board 12 to put them there. And this was an agreement by de Blasio at the time when he was mayor. And that's why you see what you see.
All right, great. Thanks. George or Ursula?
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, Carl is right. I received the complaints this week about the zip cars, and I put in a request for this gentleman that contacted me to see if they could just move it around the corner. So I'm waiting on that response. As far as a meeting with the commissioner for DOT and elected officials, we're still working on it, but DOT isn't responding back right now.
Okay, great. So that's something we gotta speak to them about. Who else? Mary? We can't hear you. You're muted, Mary.
Last year, immediately before the vote for a letter of support for protected bike lanes between 226th and 241st Streets and White Plains Road, the Transportation Committee and the full board were presented with what they were led to believe were safety impact data collected from the first or pilot section between Gun Hill Road and 226th Street. In fact, although one might assume that the purpose of a pilot would be to collect such information, no such data were presented in the DOT proposal. Nevertheless, right before the April 22 votes, the committee and the full board were told, and I quote, "Since the additional improvement, there has been a 15% drop in crashes and a 21% drop in pedestrian injuries. If the proposal included no safety impact data from the pilot, where did these statistics come from? These statistics were from page 15 of the proposal next to a picture taken on White Plains Road but from protected bike lanes installations citywide from 2007 to 2017, not from White Plains Road. In other words, the board voted in favor of the bike lanes based on misinformation. Indeed, it is possible that there have been or that there will be more injuries because of these bike lanes. Our understanding is that White Plains Road is the first in New York City to have protected bike lanes underneath elevated tracks. As such, it is different from previous protected bike lane installations. For example, many members of the community have spoken here about how it is now more difficult to come out of a parking lot or to make a turn because now they have both columns and cars blocking their sight lines into streets darkened by the tracks. And now northbound and southbound traffic often have to share the same lane because there is no place for emergency vehicles or sanitation trucks, for example, to pull over. Unfortunately, there have already been reports of accidents. At the April 22 meeting, the Transportation Committee discussed the importance of caring for our planet, which I think most of us have been considering more over the past few days. However, in their enthusiasm to be helpful, the board acted without all the facts and upon incorrect data. Nobody and no board is perfect. How a body or board reacts to recognition of a mistake is important. Let's correct the mistake without casting blame and make correct the situation. We all see the damage the bike lanes have done. Parking has been greatly reduced for local residents and merchants. Traffic is worse. Businesses are being ruined. Sidewalks are less safe for pedestrians. What bikes there are largely ignore the bike lanes. As fire trucks are forced to stay under the tracks where they cannot fully deploy equipment, lives may be lost. It is my understanding that legislators are waiting to see how the community board will act. I ask that CB12 rescind its decision to support the bike lanes on White Plains Road and to write letters to the DOT, the Bronx Borough President, and the City Council to withdraw their support for this project and to request restoration of White Plains Road to a street that does not have bike lanes.
Hey, this is Ursula. I would love to know what elected official told you that they were waiting on us, because no elected official has come to us and said that they required a letter. And even if we did give a letter, it's still not up to us, it's up to DOT. But can you please email me who told you that so I can reach out to them? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ursula. Listen, guys,
I can tell you now.
in terms of the bike lanes, right? We're working on it. The councilman is working on it. That's all I have to say, Joey. They're actually working on it, Joey.
But John, let me see. You see these things? They fell off the elevated structure and redesigned my front window.
And those are from the bike lanes.
Yeah, because the car was underneath the elevated structure. These fell off
And
2 weeks ago and redesigned the.
Those are from the train.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying, though. But that don't have anything to do with the bike lanes.
If they didn't have those bike lanes where they are, none of this would happen. And it almost hit a woman.
Well, even with the bike lanes there, people were parking all over the place. People are double parked, so anyone could get hurt or injured. My mom was walking up there, and a piece of rust fell in her eye years ago. So I'm trying to tell you, this is New York City.
John. But John, the other thing is, I interview everybody that comes in to pick up stuff. They tell me they don't shop on White Plains Road anymore.
Well, the councilman, he's on right now, and he's advocating for you guys, and he is speaking with DOT and all that stuff. So stuff are being on the work. So that's all I can say.
Okay, thank you, John.
I don't know anything else. All right, thanks, Joey. Luke.
Hey, thanks. I just wanted to note that days like this, today and yesterday, when climate change and our current climate emergency has made us realize how visceral the changing landscape the effect is. It makes us, I think, makes us realize how all of these choices matter, and one of the great things with protected bike lanes is that they do statistically reduce traffic fatalities for people who want to use the road. That's all road users. And one thing that I've found riding these bike lanes this weekend was that cyclists in the neighborhood deserve to have a safe place to ride a bike. You shouldn't, the answer to how to support businesses on White Plains Road shouldn't be you have to buy a tens of thousands of dollar car in order to support businesses on White Plains Road. White Plains Road has historically been dominated by cars and car infrastructure, including parking, double parking, triple parking. So we need to be able to share the road, and that's what these protected bike lanes are supposed to do. But the challenge is that nobody's enforcing them. Here are a couple of photos. You're not able to see it, but I was riding, and people trying to ride the bike lane, they can't because it's so blocked. There's so many people blocking the bike lane that people just avoid the bike lane altogether and they ride into the street. And these are people who live here. These are people who want to have a nice Sunday, Saturday bike ride. And I don't think that it's such a ridiculous, preposterous thing to want safe infrastructure, you know. And the suggestion that having a safe place to ride a bike is gentrification, that people who live here don't deserve safety infrastructure is offensive. The suggestion that people who take the bus here, the 40,000 people who use the Gun Hill Road bus, don't deserve or their upgrades is gentrification. That's offensive to the people who ride the bus. We know that Gun Hill Road has 4-mile-per-hour bus speeds. That's unacceptable. And the proposals that are going in, they do not ban cars from every inch of public space. They ask vehicular owners to share the road with other modes because whether you like it or not, this is a changing transportation landscape. More people are trying to use smaller forms of micromobility. And people my age and younger, they feel boxed out. The car payments these days are as much as rent. We shouldn't be forcing our young people to pay as much in rent in order to patron businesses. More young people are using scooters, their own scooters, bikes, e-bikes, and we need to adapt because our climate is changing and we need to green our streets, and a protected bike lane is something that's going to be really great for that. Thanks.
Mary, I think Madam Chair asked a question as to who was the elected official that you was referring to. Can you say it here, please?
Yes. Jeffrey Dinowitz said he wants to see how the community board feels before he gets involved.
Okay.
Um,
All right,
so
thank you.
I know that they are listening. In fact, I didn't even know if I wanted to speak this evening
Mary,
because
they're
I
not
feel that
listening. Mary, have you seen them on our meetings?
tonight they're not, but they have been
Mary,
before.
we've been talking about this 5 months now. Has
Mhm.
Jerry Dinowitz been at our meetings?
I don't believe he has.
Okay,
I don't
that's
know.
it. We'll reach out to him and let him know what you said. Thank you.
But don't forget, Jeffrey represents the state. He doesn't represent the city, and the city has their own powers.
Yes, but he does have some power over apparently has some power in the
He
city
has the
as
only
well.
power he has over his son, who's a city councilman.
Hey, John, I want to make it clear, Luke, this is Q speaking. I'm not against bike lanes, especially protected bike lanes. Like, I like riding a bike. I ride a bike every day.
Q, I'm sorry. Can you show your face? Because we don't even know what you look like.
Don't
We wanna
worry.
make sure
The
you're a real
meetings,
person.
the meetings, Madam Chair, are going to be in person very
Yes.
soon. So you're definitely going
Can
to
you
see
do me a
me
favor? Can you send me your
extremely soon.
information where your storefront is? I would love to pay a visit.
Absolutely. I can do
Thank
that.
you.
I can
Please.
do that.
Thank
Will
you.
do. Thank you so much.
We're
The
looking forward
meetings
to
are
seeing you in person.
Absolutely.
And
I
is
will
Q
definitely
your
be
actual
there.
name? Because we
I
do
will
ask
be.
for actual names. Is Q
I
your
will
full name?
actually provide you with an ID. Ursula knows me. She's seen me plenty well,
But I
very
don't.
well.
But I
Okay,
don't.
that's you. Okay, and I've been to our son's baby shower. Okay, I'm an actual person that supports the community and that has been
And
supporting
I
people for a
appreciate
very
that, but
long
we want
time.
to make sure that
So
we're
you
getting
will
accurate
definitely meet
information
me.
because
You
a
will
lot of false
definitely meet
information is
me.
being spread.
Okay, well, I'm not sure who's spreading that false information, but you'll definitely meet me. You'll see me in person. If you want my ID, the last four of my social security
I
number,
want your
everything,
information to your
I will,
storefront so that I can pay
I
you a
will,
visit.
I will provide you with everything you need, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Everything. Thank you so much. So before I was interrupted, Luke, I like riding a bike. I like riding a bike. Um, it's excellent exercise. I do it every day. And I just feel that if my building, which is on White Plains Road between 216 and 217, I actually invited you to come walk with me, Luke, because I am a real person. I do own the building. Um, is on White Plains Road. If there was 100% enforcement, so everyone parked perfectly, and there was an emergency, the FDNY would not be able to reach my building. No one has been able to address that concern. And in terms of Mary's point, whenever we bring it up to the DOT, because this has went up to the mayor of New York City knows what's happening here within our district. Whenever we bring it to an official at DOT and they respond, they tell whoever's asking them the community voted for this. You know, so I'm not sure about any elected officials asking what the community board wants to do, but I will say that it really does look bad that this was voted on and that we're not hearing from the community. We appreciate that you guys wrote a letter. It's really important that you guys did that, but at the same time, it doesn't illustrate where the community board stands. And I'm telling you guys right now, these protected bike lanes are going to get removed one way or another. It's going to happen right now, or it's going to happen in the future when a tragedy occurs. I would like the community board to actually be on the right side of history on this one. So for the record, I love bike lanes. I feel that people need to be safe. When the islands were created on White Plains Road, people were complaining and I told them stop complaining because my entire life living on White Plains Road, I've seen crazy drivers try to zip around the 41 bus and almost knock people down. So when that happened, I said, I don't care what happens. I don't care how slow traffic is going. We have to save lives. We have to save people's lives. These protected bike lanes on White Plains Road are not saving people's lives. They're actually endangering people. I'm a practical person. I am a real person. And like, I really love my community. I went to PS 76. I went to MS 113 on 217 and Barnes, and I went to Harry S. Truman High School. I was supposed to go to Lehman. I decided to go to Baruch College. And I've employed hundreds and hundreds of people in the Bronx in Community Board 12 in the last 10 years. For me to be this worked up about this literally shows what's happening in our community. I apologize to the community board that you guys feel we're attacking you, that we're blaming you guys, but it's really it hits a nerve for me what's happening here. And every single person that I've spoken to has come to me and they've literally thanked me. People have lives, like people can't deal with this, but I'm gonna make it my mission one way or another. Anyone who wants to meet me, I will set up a luncheon for the entire community board at my location. On me, I'll pay for everything. But this, like, something has got to give, and I promise you, these are gonna get removed. It's gonna happen now, or it's gonna happen when a tragedy occurs. Thank you.
I think one thing that we can all agree on is that we want White Plains Road to thrive, right? I think everybody here is here for the success of the district, the success of White Plains Road, for the success of our commercial corridors. And that's what I think we have to just announce, right? And we're here, like John said, to find solutions on how to improve some of this stuff. Like the cross hatching in front of all the fire hydrants is really wide. It looks like angled parking. Um, I've seen taxi cabs, TLC licensed cabs parked in the right in front of the hydrants. So part of it is like, you know, people not being attentive or something, but there could be improvements that we can make. But I think we should all kind of acknowledge that we want a thriving area. We want a thriving district. And I think we can work together to make that happen.
All right, great.
Hi, good evening, guys. Is it okay for me to say something real quick in reference to what you said, Luke, and in reference to what Q said as well?
Yes, you have the floor.
Okay, so I hear everything that you're saying, Luke, and I want to say the community does appreciate everything that the community board is setting forth to try to protect us. However, I think that we should just be able to work together, especially when it comes to the bike lanes, when it comes to zip cars and anything else. I think that possibly we can hear more from the people within the community, and instead of just everyone having an opinion or a personalized opinion and it just being about the shops on White Plains Road. My concerns before that I raised in terms of the bike lanes was people being injured or them being improperly used. You know, we barely see bicycle people using the bike lanes. We see a lot of Uber drivers, a lot of electric car motorists utilizing those lanes improperly, causing damage to people within the community. If the bike lanes were being used for the right things, I don't think it would be a bad thing. I think it would be an amazing thing, but they're not. And that's why the issue with White Plains Road keeps coming up, because it's very busy. A lot of cars are there, but pedestrians are being injured. Now, the bike lanes on Bronxwood, they're there. People barely use them, but when they do use them, they use them correctly. We don't have those issues on Bronxwood. I live between Barnes and Bronxwood. So I hear what the people in the community are saying. We don't have those issues on Bronxwood. So why do we have these issues on White Plains Road? I think that if we work together once again, as a community, we leave those bike lanes on Bronxwood because it's not a safety issue, and that we can minimize them within certain areas on White Plains Road, then I think it would be a win-win situation for everyone.
All right, great. Thanks, Shante.
Thank you.
All right, I think Ursula, you had something to say, or you're done. Alfredo.
No, I changed my mind. I'm done.
Hey guys, thank you. Thanks everybody for speaking up. So I mean, the way it's looking is this issue with the bike lanes is not gonna go away. And I mean, can we just write a letter on behalf of the board saying we don't want the bike lanes? Just make this go away. And I think if we do that, then I guess the constituents will get off our backs. Once they see that we did write a letter saying we don't support it, I think this will end the conversation. The bike lanes, we know.
Wait. I'm sorry, Alfredo. You know I love you. That's not going to end the conversation because
No.
What nobody fails to realize is it's not Community Board 12. It's Department of Transportation and the City Council. It's not us. We can write 20 letters and it's still not going to happen.
You know that, I know that, but at least if we write a letter, everybody will get off our backs, and then we could say, you know what, we did our part. Now what?
No,
the thing is that, you know what, is this is gonna continue to go on and on and on and on.
I agree.
And you know what? It's all good. It's all good. Everybody have their right to speak, but after a while, it's just like the continuation of that is our fault, and we did this, and now Mary's saying that the state senator said that that this and that. I mean. I know. Listen, I know what you're gonna say. Nobody comes to our meetings but us, so we're the only ones that hear this.
I've been doing this for 28 years, and it's getting to the point like you can write 20 letters. Unless DOT said, hey, we made a mistake, nothing's gonna change. So what happens if we write the letter? What happens if the boy agree to write the letter? What happens? And they still don't remove it. Then what?
At least we could go back to everybody that's on our back to say we did our part, we did the letter, now what? You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
I got you. I know what I'm listening. I got you. I've been on the board for a long time too. I'm with you. Trust me.
No, I don't agree.
Every couple of weeks.
Y'all have a good night.
Sorry, Earth. Every couple of weeks, you know what I'm saying, we have a transportation meeting. John Isaac, the chair, he lets everybody speak as he has. He doesn't let nobody, he does not prevent nobody on speaking. But after a while, it's like, okay, what do we do? You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. The bike lanes were installed. They were installed. So if you guys in the community that's on this call say, you know what, if you guys write a letter of support, we'll get off your backs, then I'm willing to entertain it, and I'm being straight. But I do not want to hear from nobody, especially you guys that are here, saying about the bike lanes. Once we write a letter saying that we don't want them, that's it. No more. I don't want to hear from nobody saying, oh, but this and that, and people are parking diagonally, and the bird is shitting on people's cars, and we don't want to hear nothing, because it just becomes after a while, it just becomes like, okay, what are we really doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Again, I think I told you guys on many occasions, reach out to your elected officials, right? Reach out to your congressman, reach out to your state senator, reach out to your assembly people, right? Bring them. You as constituents, y'all vote for these people. Bring them to these meetings like that. They could hear from you guys directly, and then you guys could tell them, you know what? If y'all don't do y'all part, we're not gonna vote for y'all. But y'all don't do that. Y'all come and y'all bark at us because we're always here and we give y'all the time of day. Bring y'all elected officials. I want each and every one of you guys to go to each one of your elected officials and say, listen, y'all have to come to these meetings. Otherwise, we're not going to vote for y'all. But y'all got to say it like that. You see what I'm saying?
I just want to address Ms. Granby, Alfredo, because yes, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. But Ms. Granby, where are you when we're talking about crime, when we're talking about all these issues that
That's
are
not the
plaguing us?
point. That's not the point, Madam
So
Chair.
hold
That's
on,
not the
Alfredo,
point.
but the point is that
Madam
yes,
Chair,
we can write a letter
Madam
on our
Chair,
stance. We
Madam
can write a letter
Chair,
on our stance.
Madam
But
Chair,
for us, the
Madam
issue is that
Chair,
we need
Madam
to see
Chair.
this same
Excuse me, the
energy
Madam Chair has
go
the
to
floor.
all of our committee meetings, to all of our board. That same energy that you're bringing about these bike lanes, we need that same energy to all these thousands of other issues that are coming across our board. That's
Exactly.
all we're saying. We're here to support, but we need your support too, not just on the bike lanes.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and again, listen, the elected officials are the ones that need to be here. This I think 7 or 8 elected officials, from councilmen, congressmen, state assembly. You know, they live in the confinements of CB12. All right, their offices are visible. Y'all can go to their offices and say, listen, we need you to come. Nobody comes to our meetings. Maybe y'all do go to their offices and state your part, but that's not translated here. Y'all only see us here every couple of weeks, and we always here. Regardless of what, we're always here. This meeting that Mr. Chair raised was to renew someone's license and for a presentation. And look where we at. And this is going to continue. And again, it's not fair to you guys as constituents. It's not fair as us board members. It's not fair. The elected officials have to be on record, live on records, telling the mayor of New York City, you, mayor, have to do this. It's not going to happen, especially in an election year. You think somebody's going to put their reputation on the line and go up against the mayor of New York City? It's not going to happen. All right, but y'all gotta stop coming down our backs. You know what I mean? We gotta keep it 100. Y'all gotta stop coming down our backs. My back. You know what I'm saying?
Hi, I'm sorry, real quick. I hear everything that you guys have been saying, and I do agree with you, Alfredo. At least if you do write the letter, it shows that you tried. I don't want anyone on the board to feel like we don't support you guys or that everyone's getting down on your backs, because that's not what it is. You know, it does come across like that because I have been here to the meetings and I have heard, including myself, I'm not going to exclude myself, I have been down on you guys' back in reference to certain things. But when it comes to me, I have been writing letters and sending emails. I don't know who I can send that to or CC them on so that you can see. And you guys can also see the response that we've been receiving. The response, like I said, it's like a ping pong. You go to one person and they say, go back to the community board. But then when you come to the community board, you guys say, go back to these people. So then it's just like, how do you get these people here? How do we address these people? Because you're saying it's the people in the community, the mayors, DOT, but how do we get them here? What do we have to do to get them here? How do we make them listen?
Shantae, Mr. Alfredo told us what to do. And Mr. Alfredo, I'm going to be 100% transparent. I've been to Kevin Riley's office at least 3 times, Carl Hasty's office 3 times, Senator Jamal Bailey's offices 3 times, a lot, you know. Also, in terms of the energy Madam Chair spoke about, I take full responsibility. Anyone who speaks about these lanes, I say I'm culpable. You know why? Because I was never involved in the community board. I didn't come to the meetings. And it's very accurate, you know. Ms. Benitez, I'm going to keep saying what she said. She's like, people come and then they leave. I am not going anywhere. I'm going to education meetings. I was in your security meetings. I'm going to be involved because I love this community. And I promise you, Mr. Alfredo, on my life, on my children, the community board 12 writes this letter. Anyone who complains about the bike lanes, you could send them to me. And I'll show them the letter, and I will say, never bring it up again. I promise you, Mary, Ms. Granby, whoever, we need to move forward. If we get that documentation, because that's what the DOT is using. They say the community voted on it. That's what they wanted. And they're putting all the blame on you guys. We did a piece on News 12. They're putting the blame on you guys. Once we have that letter, the community is going to be held accountable. And I've actually been working with some contacts from my corporate to get a meeting with the mayor. Everyone gets the same energy. So, we will never, ever bring it again. If we have something from the community board stating you guys voted on this, you approved it, but because of the issues, you have concerns, you no longer approve it. There's nothing that anyone can say. No one can come to Mr. Isaac. No one can go to Miss Ursula. No one can go to George. It's done after that. And that's on my honor and my word as a man. Thank you very much.
Tolene,
Motion to move close.
after Tolene, I need a motion to close, please.
Yeah, can y'all hear me? Yes, okay. So I have a quick question for Ms. O'Riordan. Ms. O'Riordan, the information that you gave when you spoke the first time, I didn't understand. I wasn't clear if that was a statement from you or if that was something that you were reading with that information in it. Is it possible you can send that information, email it in?
Yes.
With all that you said that we didn't have the facts. Could you send that information in for me, please?
Happy to do that. Thank you for asking. I'd be very happy to do that.
Right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to close?
Motion to
So
close.
moved.
All right. Good night, folks.
Good night.
I'm done.
Here's my keys.